right, here we go. Whew, the moment of truth, guys. It's been a long time. It's been months. I'm like really nervous about this. Honestly, it's been a whole ordeal, and I just hope to God this truck handles this. Okay, here we go. Good morning, YouTube. It is a beautiful morning. Almost the last day of September. We're going into October here on the 35. The trees are starting to change a little bit out there in the background. And today's finally the day. Today's finally the day we get to test the gateway from Tesla for the backup power to my house. Now I want to go through a little bit on what happened and where we're at. And if you haven't seen part 1, please go back and check out part 1. So, in part 1, I'm going to bring you down here. You guys might have seen that this was where the gateway was at, right here next to my main panel. Now, that was moved because there's a gas line down here. I'm standing in the sun there. There was a gas line down here that stood out too far that made it violate the code for where it was installed. Long story, bad experience. Took me forever to get my electrician because I'm up here on the 35. It's hard to get people up here to get him certified through Tesla. So now we have the entire panel backed up, and I can finally show you guys the panel. But you can see there is a lot going on in this panel. But I used to have a piece of metal here. You can see where it was drilled in. And this is what would make it so that I would have to turn off the main in order to turn this on, which would then power this panel with 50 amps. So I'll have to see why that's still there and connected. I just opened this up for the first time with you guys. But I've been upgraded from 150 to 200. Now, when they did this, of course they run all this new conduit over. Good morning, Gizmo. Say hi. Let's go. Get out of the weeds. Come on. What are you doing? Likes to trip me. Anyway, when they did this, they had to run, of course, the new power comes. Okay, so I had a 15 kV transformer upgraded to a 50. If it was from a 15 to a 50 to handle all the power here. I also have another panel down there at the breaker box, which is the power coming in. You can barely see my meter down there. And then that's now 200 amp. So I have more power coming through the ground up to here and into this PVC painted pipe coming up. Well, that is my main feed to the house, which has been rerouted into the Tesla gateway. The gateway is now able to see all the power coming in and then come back down and feed my main panel. Now, keep in mind, guys, there's only 11,500 watts of power coming out of the Cybertruck back through this cord. So I can't power my entire home. Well, that being said, I have to manage the power being used in my home. A lot has happened since the first gateway was installed. I got my electrician that I wanted to use certified. Of course, this was his first one. He said it was a lot of testing, a lot to get through. I think he said over 20 different tests and things to get certified with Tesla. They brought their crew out. I'll show a few photos here. Because they moved my primary power from below up to here, they then had to change the grounding and some other things. So they did fail their first inspection. And after the first inspection, they came back and they ran a new ground wire here, thicker wire out and down here into, I think they actually buried that one and it's going into my house here. But either way, there's a new ground rod here, which is grounding on all my plumbing. And there's a new ground rod here, which I assume is just probably grounding the box. They also had to put this emergency disconnect sticker on here. And I found out some things that were kind of difficult. So this is the universal charger. You have to have this to work with the Cybertruck back feeding the house for power. Now this has to be connected to this to get commissioned. We went through a lot to get the old gateway off my app, to get all, I had to call Tesla and have them remove all of my chargers. Okay, so I have 3 wall chargers. I have one here and I have 2 down at the garage. I have one on the outside and one on the inside. Now I've completely cleaned out my garage since I got the Connex container, and so my garage has tons of space in it now. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, took me days and days to get this all figured out, to get everything disconnected from the old gateway, get all the, because the wall chargers, they actually connect themselves to the gateway, even when they're not all on this gateway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my app and I'm going to do some screen recording. So let's start that. So you should be able to see that I'm on my Cybertruck, and it's actually saying discover PowerShare backup. And I'm going to put this on the screen at the same time on the side. Discover PowerShare backup your home during power outages. Now, this is new because it's a brand new system, but if I click here on this little down arrow, you can see all my vehicles. I have 2 Cybertrucks, a Model 3, and a Model Y, 2 Model Ys. I've got the new Juniper. Now, I also have a work charger. But if you look at this home gateway, you can see that I have the multiple chargers on here. If I go under settings, I believe it is, and I go under my home info, you can see these different gateways. Now I might have to blur some of this out, but you can see my Gen 3 wall connector, another Gen 3 wall connector, my universal connector, and my gateway for my house. Cool stuff. So the moment of truth is finally here. Now a little more backstory. I was having some issues with my Cybertruck at the superchargers. So I went to the light show and the Cybertruck off-roading event, and while I was trying to charge on the supercharger, it just kept disconnecting over and over again. It took me 5 tries to get this truck to stay on the supercharger. So, by the way, it took me 5 washes. 5 and 5. Yeah, it really did. It took me many washes to get this truck clean. This thing with the matte wrap, I mean, it looks gorgeous now, but it took me hours yesterday to get this cleaned up, and I wanted to clean it up for you guys so you could see a clean Cybertruck for once. But I'm sore from cleaning this thing. Anyway, if you look over here, they did install a new charger. So I got this all nice. You see the plastic really clean, and then the older plastic here. New charger, new ECU, I believe they called it. So some sort of controller brains behind the charger was replaced, as well as the charger preventively, because I mentioned all of this. I said, guys, I'm about ready to test my Tesla gateway, and I'm having issues at the superchargers. I'm not 100% sure that it was a firmware issue, and that's what they told me burned up my last one, was this truck had a bad firmware that burned it up. Proactively replaced the charger for me, just in case. So I was very clear with Tesla. What I'm about to do for you guys live right now is to do my first test with the new gateway. Let's start the camera in case something happens here. I want to make sure that we're recording it, and I want to make sure that I don't miss it with this camera as well. Okay, we're online there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Now, I do have a couple concerns. One, I don't want to pull too much power, but I assume that, you know, if one of the other Teslas tries to charge after the power goes out, that's going to be too much power. Now, I would hope that Tesla would know that those vehicles are on my same network and not let them charge, but that's a caveat probably to the whole house backup, guys, is that if you have multiple vehicles that are charging, and like me, a lot of power that can go through this. And let me show you what it looks like now. I'm going to open it up. My original one had breakers all through here, and they did have some micros and stuff. And so this is what's connected to my truck, but this is the big bad boy 200 amp for my entire home. Okay, we're gonna leave this closed. Okay, guys. Well, let's just do this. Let's see how it goes. All right. So we're gonna first of all, let's see what this Discover PowerShare is. So let's click that. PowerShare technology unlocks your Cybertruck ability to power your home automatically during an outage. PowerShare requires the universal wall connector and PowerShare gateway or a Tesla Powerwall. Set a discharge limit to stop the PowerShare, ensuring you have power to drive. Set your vehicle's controls to automatically back up your home if an outage occurs by the little toggle switch here. And during a grid outage, your vehicle will automatically power your home. A brief shutdown occurs when the grid power is restored. You've completed learning about the PowerShare backup. PowerShare is now enabled in the controls menu. Okay, we're going to go to the controls. Okay, down here it is on and I've got it set to a 10%. Now, I know there's a way to test this, so we're going to try this. Let's go back. And I believe we need to do this through the PowerShare itself. We're going to simulate a power outage. Okay, down here. So my home is currently using 1 kilowatt of power. That's about 1,000 watts. And it says go off grid. Something in the settings here. Let's see what this is. Tap here to set up advanced offline features. That's definitely what we want. Let's make sure my phone is paired to it so that when it's offline, it doesn't have to have the Wi-Fi, right? Scan the QR code, open the gateway, and scan the QR code. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Kind of walking you through this with one hand here. Okay, got the gateway scanned. Let's go ahead and join that network. Accept the prompts to connect to the Tesla gateway network. Now, I have a lot of problems with this when I do these, so let's see if we have any luck with this. The first attempt, I've gone through this many times in the past with my other phone. I did just get a new phone, so I think that's why I have the new iPhone 17 Pro Max. Okay, allow it to find the networks, yes. Now see, there was an error again, but maybe I needed to allow it. We're gonna try again. Okay, it is pairing. There we go, pair successful. Gateway is securely paired to your phone. Finish. Okay, so now we should have offline abilities to see this. We're going to close it up. Okay, now let's go back and we're going to go off grid, guys, for the first time. I've got everything quiet at the house. I turned off all the fans so we can hear if anything goes south with this. So I'm going to be quiet. Let's see what happens. Go off grid. Let me read you this real quick. This will temporarily disconnect your home from the grid and simulate a grid outage. Non-backup circuits will remain connected to the grid. Reduce your home's load to extend your time off grid. Your home will momentarily lose power while disconnecting from the grid. Turn off solar inverters. This prevents damage to the home loads. Once off grid, you can turn solar back on. All right, here we go. The moment of truth, guys. This has been a long time. It's been months. I'm like really nervous about this. Honestly, it's been a whole ordeal, and I just hope to God this truck handles this. Okay, here we go. Doing it all on video so everybody can see I did nothing wrong. Go off grid. Okay, guys, I hear some noises from the unit. We're off grid. showing we're using 1.3 kilowatts. Cybertruck is providing backup power. PowerShare activated. 1.4 kilowatts from the Cybertruck. Says I have over a day of use at 87% power. Let's go check that the lights are on in the house. I see the lights are on. Okay. Just want to make sure this works for a couple minutes. So I can hear sounds coming from it. Let me see if I can get a little closer on that. Let's go back to this. I got some sort of error on my screen. Cybertruck still powering the house. Don't like the error codes. Okay guys, so my Wi-Fi is back on now. And we're still using it. So we still have over a day of energy remaining. And this is why I wanted to back it up this way, because I wanted to make sure that, hold on, I just got interrupted. The wife came out and letting the dogs out in the middle of my filming. But that's what happens. No big deal. Okay, so everything still seems to be working well. You do see an icon change here to purple. And we're still using 1.2 kilowatts from the Cybertruck. Telling me to check my internet connection, but my internet just came back on. Looks like the truck just got Wi-Fi. And now the display has changed on my screen here. As you guys can see, it's no longer showing it feeding. I can still hear it. Let's switch back to gateway. So you can see here it's got a bar up here that will show if you're maxing out that power of 11,500 watts. But it does make some humming noises. But we do seem to be working. But now you can see that feeding icon has stopped on my screen, but the truck is still showing the power. And I hope y'all can hear. And let's get real close with my microphone. The hum that comes from here. Even though only 1.2, now I don't know that I want to put more load on it right now. I really just wanted to make sure this thing was going to work. Well, it does seem to be working. Let's go ahead and get back onto the grid. And reconnect to grid. Here we go. May take up to 5 minutes. Gateway will continue reconnecting if you close the app. Okay, truck went back to green. Charger is blue, meaning that it's in standby. Okay, so it looks like we had a successful run. Now let's make sure my house still has power. It does. I see the lights are on in there. That's great. Well, looks like we did it. Looks like we're good, guys. So, first test was successful. And I was a little nervous on all the sounds this thing was making, but I guess that's normal. Great. Well, I'm just going to wait for the internet to come back on my phone and make sure that this diagram changes from showing it powering the house. A couple things I wanted to tell you guys, some updates, some things happen in the background. I did put on some red calipers from Tesla launch. Honestly, guys, I would not recommend them. They're kind of cheap. They super glue pieces on the bottom and one fell off. They do look cool from afar though. I mean, they give you, and I don't really like this star right here. I don't know. They look kind of cool, but I don't know that I would buy them. They were pretty expensive, like $180. Nah, wouldn't do that. I did put on the red tow hook covers there, which is cool. But I did have to take the entire rack off my truck so that Tesla could fix the tonneau. So if you guys out there have a Cybertruck and you have a small gap on the top of your tonneau, that would be right there where the tonneau meets that trim piece. If you have a gap there, I'm not sure if you can see it, take it into Tesla, tell them it's leaking. They're going to take your tonneau off and add a long piece. There's a short piece on this one that was creating a little bit of a 1/4 inch gap and letting water get back into here. So I had to take the entire rack off for that, which was a pain. I almost killed Chris. Woo, we learned that this thing's heavy, especially when I had the awning on it. But that was a fix that they did. But I've been noticing that I've been getting water inside the cab after a rainstorm. I've got moisture. Let me show you some photos here. Moisture on the windows, and I don't know where the water's coming in. I don't see it coming in through the windows themselves. I don't see it coming in through the door jambs. I see no physical water at all. I'm thinking it's coming from the frunk and leaks down into the front compartment behind the frunk. That's a bunch of humidity that builds up and starts to kind of bring itself into the cab and condensate. That's my guess. Now, I have another service appointment set up for this truck for that. I also had the slant rails replaced. As you can see, they're now silver. Back to the stainless steel color, I should say, and not black. But I think it looks kind of cool right now, so I'm just riding with it because obviously I have wrap damage. This was from some chemical burn when I took some stickers off during the huge hate for Tesla that was happening in Colorado, which we still have, unfortunately, but not near as bad. I took a bunch of stickers off because I just wasn't sure if it was hurting my business or not. But I still kept, my QR code stickers and things like that. So still representing the business. But let's go back and take one last look and let's see. Do have some errors. It says check power source and charging equipment 4 minutes ago. So hopefully those are just normal error codes that you get. Truck should be connected again, but I don't see that it is yet. No internet connection to the home gateway. Oh, there it goes. It reconnected. And now we're using 8.7 kilowatts. And not sure what's using that much power, but something is. It's not my truck. My truck is at 1.3 kilowatts, but the house has just jumped up to 8.7. So this would still be able to handle whatever's happening in the house. You can see my energy summary. You can see how everything is going through my house, so I can see total used for the day, how much came from the vehicle. That's pretty interesting. Down here you can see I pulled 0.1 from the vehicle. Yesterday, 109 kilowatts used, 122 on Thursday, 142 kilowatts on Wednesday, 147. Now, anytime I use power between 9 p.m. and 4 p.m. the next day, it's only 6 cents a kilowatt. So I want to see very limited use between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. So you can see at 9 the chargers jump on, and that's when we start really using the power. Even this one's peaking pretty high. Overnight we're peaking at about 16.8 kilowatts. Here you can see I'm up to 26 kilowatts. So on average we use about 140, 130 kilowatts on the weekends, a little less. And then my wife's car did get in an accident, so we are down 1 Tesla, so these power ratings are a little bit lower. Go back a little bit and see what we had. Yeah, 140 per day on average. So, you know, that's pretty interesting. Okay, well guys, I think that's it. I think it's successful. Test has been complete, and I still have a usable truck and gateway and no pops or hisses or poofs like in part 1. It was quite the ordeal to get it set up properly and to get to code from Larimer County. I could, like I said, come down here to the breaker box and shut down. So if I knew there was a big storm and I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we were going to be okay, I would shut off the 100 amp for the garage. I'd go through here and turn off the ovens and a few things and a couple freezers that I know freezers would be fine. Leave the fridges on, leave all the 15 amp ones on for lights, power, and I would leave my heating system on, this VRV here. His heat pump is super efficient, heats and cools my home. Thanks for coming along on this adventure out here on the 35, where we had a successful test of the Tesla Gateway. We are now ready to handle any winter weather that comes our way that shuts us off from the grid. We're going to be able to use our Cybertruck to power our home. I'm super excited it was successful. Thanks for coming along and checking out part 2 of this video. And you can see how in-depth a lot of this was. Now, if I had an attached garage, I would have put it in my garage and had my truck in there, right? But you can see it even works outside, so that's pretty neat. If you got a remote cabin in the woods or something like that and you just want to drive up and use the truck, there you go. So thanks for coming along. We'll see you guys in the next one.